I'm Nora Segura-Barpal, she, her pronouns, Executive Director and co-founder of the Music Inclusion Coalition.
And I'm Alma Ramos, pronoun she, hers, and I'm the CEO of Full Bloom Consulting.
The Preservation Project podcast and archive were created to uplift artistic voices of dissent. Art is an important part of preserving our voices, our culture, and our history. We created this podcast as a platform to share information, encourage artists to continue making art that represents their communities, and to talk about the place art has in protests throughout history. The archive is intended to ensure that these stories live on and that our voices can't be erased. We have always been here. We will always be here. Your art, your joy, your existence is an act of protest, and that is absolutely beautiful. The Music Inclusion Coalition is a 501c3. Your donations ensure we can continue our work, and they are tax deductible. If you have the ability, please consider donating and helping us continue this project. Yay. Well, this one's going to be super fun. I'm stoked for this.
Me too.
Because we had a lot of conversations on the side about this. You recorded a short video about this. So I'm super excited. So quick getting into it. Recent events, lots of them, so many of them, in fact.
I feel like
boy.
Every time someone's like, how are you doing? I'm like, how honest do you want me to be about
That's the real question these days.
Because it's so tied to what's happening in our world right now. And so the recent events, there's been so much that's happened since just the beginning of this year. And I think all of that really has led up to why we're doing this podcast, why we're doing the Preservation Project and everything. We've been texting each other just about all of the things that have been happening in the world. I think with everything that's been happening with this new administration, as soon as they were in place, we got executive order after executive order after executive order of different things that they're going to change in order to, like we mentioned in our previous episode, basically trying to destroy all DEI type of work, especially if it's federally funded. We're seeing now that they're trying to stop affinity-based groups, which is going to affect everyone within higher education, just not having how that's going to impact NPHC fraternities, how it's going to impact organizations with employee resource groups and all of that. And then
also the rewriting of history, literal rewriting of history online.
Yes.
Pulling all of the mentions of transgender people from the Stonewall National Memorial website is insane because Stonewall was started by a transgender woman of color, and to just remove the T in LGBTQ plus is insane, and we're literally watching it happen live. That is,
and then
just
we're going back
unfathomable
to these banned books that are starting to come out again, and it's just trying to basically undo as much as they can of what's already been. And again, we can't unsee this, so we know this exists out here, and we've known it's existed for a long time, but it's all of that. And then Nora hit me with that quick text after we found out about the Kennedy Center. And that was a moment where we were like, okay, this is about to get much, much worse, just with knowing how art plays such a huge role in everything we do in our lives, right? It's literally everywhere. And now, especially with technology, it's so easy to consume it on every minute if we really want to. It's so easy to do that. And so with the Kennedy Center, and we're seeing people's shows being canceled. We're seeing people who should be represented at the Kennedy Center canceling their shows because of them not agreeing with Trump putting himself as the chairman. And literally said, this is going to become a lot less woke, which we will have a certain day to talk about the history of woke culture, because the way that it is
that is such a topic in and of itself.
Yes. And I'm like, I do not have enough alcohol in my system to really just like push through it right now.
Well, in terms of the Kennedy Center, I just want to mention, so on top of like all of we're seeing cancellations, I just want to point one out in particular that like hit home for me, because I have friends on the board of the International Pride Orchestra.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be going for World Pride this year. So World Pride is supposed to take place in DC this year, the first weekend of June. So we don't even know if like the actual Pride event itself is going to take place, but certainly not at the Kennedy Center. They had already programmed a bunch of organizations to come in to perform all throughout the month of June. All of them have been canceled, and one of which was the International Pride Orchestra. And it's just heartbreaking. Like, these are people that have worked really hard for this, that are incredible musicians. I mean, there are people from like the Met that sit in that orchestra, the San Francisco Symphony. Like, there are some amazing musicians. Like, this isn't, I think when the right tends to talk about, like, again, this woke art, they try and say that it's less valid or it's like less good. It's, they just really try and degrade it. And that's not true. And I just feel like we need to point out how categorically untrue that is. Like, the fact that people are talking about Kendrick Lamar's performance and saying that like it was the worst is insane, first of all. And then I didn't understand it. Great. You can go look up lyrics. Like, come on.
Yeah.
We've had rock groups that literally sound like they have marbles in their mouths. Come on. Grow up. And then you also have the fact, like, they're trying to say it's like he's not as good of an artist. He literally has a Pulitzer Prize. Like, he is a lyrical genius.
Say that
He's
again.
an artistic genius. I would like to ask all of these people that are complaining where their Pulitzer is. Thank you.
Right before that halftime performance, he literally accepted his Grammy while his song was going on, and the entire building sang along to it. So we're not going to pretend that he's a nobody that's like not out here and is someone who hasn't created an impact. And we started breaking down in our recent clips about the Super Bowl, but I feel like it's worth saying again just how impactful that show was. And I think that was such a beautiful cultivation of art in its like truest form. Like, we had not only, the lyrics of everything that was said, which there is a Genius has literally the Super Bowl halftime lyrics on there, so you can follow along, so that you don't have to look for each song. On top of that, you go into the designers who created the outfits for it. Both are Chicano from Los Angeles. And so representing that culture, which of course, like Kendrick's whole GNX album that just came out is like I would say his, not love letter to LA, but you're going to put respect on LA and LA hip hop. To using red, white, and blue, to them formations of the flag, to having this video game kind of style. Like it's there's so much to that performance, and this is going to be a piece, and I'm sure, Nora, that you would probably resonate with this, but this is going to be a piece that's going to be talked about in like college courses. Like,
oh, for sure.
This is going to be
There are already people writing that curriculum. An NYU professor, who we absolutely want to talk to at some point, has already created an entire curriculum around this because it was so good.
It's so impactful. There's so much to it. Like, I don't think, like, you can break down just by the lyrics itself of everything, all the songs that he used and the order that he used them in, right? From starting with the first song, it's being called Bodies right now around the internet. It's an unreleased song on like streaming platforms, but was in his intro when he was introducing his album, and then going into Squabble Up, and then going into Humble and why he put that there, but then saying, never mind, I'm going to go into DNA, and just the whole flow of it. Like, you could talk about that alone, minus the visuals, right?
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
You can talk about Samuel L. Jackson and his role as Uncle Sam in there and the impact that that had. We could talk about Serena Williams coming out and the impact that
I
had.
could talk about her
and
all day.
My neighbors probably hated me that day because the way I screamed when I saw Serena Williams on that screen.
Iconic. But also, I think that there's a whole other conversation before you even start getting into everything that was that performance. There is another conversation about everyone complaining that he's an unknown, he wasn't well known, blah, blah, blah. First of all, separating this idea that like being popular and being good. And I think that there is just like, it's so interesting as a like coming from a music school where that was kind of like the opposite, right? Like if you are pop culture, you are immediately trash. Like there is like this such a like highbrow, we're better than you, which is also wrong. And then like in pop culture, like this, like you're unknown and therefore you're bad. Again, also wrong. Like those things can exist simultaneously or apart. Like you can be the most popular person ever and not create great music. I think there's also so many conversations we can have and we have had in the past around what is considered good music, right? Like if it resonates with people, that in and of itself is validity, but like what makes great art? Like there are so many other conversations around this, and I just think like so many things I could say about that alone. And it's absolutely insane that like that is kind of like the base of this argument is like, well, we don't know who he is. Great, now you do. Also, just because you didn't doesn't mean that you shouldn't have or that other people don't. I think that that's a huge one. If I could just like rant for a hot second about a class at NYU.
Please.
I was in a leadership class in the Stern School of Business. And I loved my time at NYU, for the record. I had a lot of great experiences. But this one woman was talking about how a lot of times, like, people don't know what they want, right? And she used Hamilton as an example. And I'm still angry about this because she was like, yeah, well, like, the family in Iowa, you know, wouldn't have thought that they wanted to see a rap musical about a president, but, like, you know, it's so popular. And I was like, hey, guess what? That wasn't the audience. The audience that it was written for knew that this is what they wanted. Like, just because you didn't know, it wasn't necessarily written for you.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Like,
yes.
That, just, like, the aggrandizing, the self-focus, like, the narcissism when it comes to the arts. Like, I would never look at cancer research and be like, well, that's not for me because I don't currently have cancer. But, like, when it comes to art, you're like, oh, well, like, that's not for me and therefore it's trash. Like, it wasn't for you. Or assuming that you were the intended audience because you are a white person, or, like, how? Like,
I think that's, I'm a person who is not a huge country fan. I'm going to tell you that right now. I respect the art. I respect what is done. I did love Cowboy Carter, but there's even like a snippet of Cowboy Carter where Willie Nelson is like, sometimes you just need someone you trust to put you on to some really good, and insert curse word here. He's like, sometimes you just need someone to introduce you to some really good music that you trust doing that, right? And so, like, there are a few country songs that I can lean to because of someone introducing me to that, right? Of someone that I trust telling me, I think you, Alma, are going to like this. I don't love all the music from the whole genre, but I don't have to. I respect it as an art. We need to do the same thing and we can get into why people were saying that about the Super Bowl halftime show. And it's because they equate DEI and woke culture to Blackness. And that's really what it is. Like they're equating it to race and especially Blackness. And they're like, oh, because it's this, it's woke culture, it's DEI or something. And I'm like, well, yes, I mean, it's Black, but it is just talking about what actually happens in this country. It doesn't have to be for you. It's for me. Just let me have fun.
And yeah, like, again, I don't love country music either. Like, that's not my thing because I don't relate to it. Personally, it doesn't resonate with me. I don't have any experiences in my life that feel like that resonates with me. And that is okay. Like, I can look at that and just be like, cool, that was good. I'm not going to maybe go seek it out because I'm not drawn to it, but it's still good. There's also, I mean, I can say that about so many, like, niche, like, there's so many things. Like, there are parts of classical music, even though I'm classically trained, that I'm like, that doesn't resonate with me. Like, you know.
Gosh. Yeah, there's some periods that I can't get with.
There are periods, yeah. Like, I don't know. Oh. We have some dogs. They agree, clearly. But, like, you know, for me, some of it I'm just like, that was, like, Handel, not my favorite. Also, there's an extreme lack of brass in that, and I'm a brass player, so, like,
why?
What is there for me to, like, you know, like, so, like, yeah, that's bias. There is bias there.
100%.
But recognizing that and just being like, cool, not my jam, doesn't make it worse. So, like, addressing your bias, saying, like, cool, I don't necessarily like rap music because it does not resonate with me personally. I don't have an experience that resonates. Does not make it worse. Like,
yes. Listen, I totally get you. I remember getting like side looks from people when I was like, who's your favorite composer? And I was like, well, I do love a good Frank Ticheli. And they were like, oh, what a trumpet player. And I was like, yeah, honestly, I'm like, it's fun. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm having a blast playing this music. I'm sorry he didn't make this for you. He didn't think about, like, he did think about you, but it's about me right now. And isn't that the most trumpet thing you've ever heard? It's about me right now.
It's always about the trumpets, let's be honest. But, like, that's, yeah. I mean, you can literally, and I think that that's such a thing that we lose is, like you just said, it's fun for me. Like, at the heart of art, like, yes, we can create art that is meaningful. We can create art that is impactful. We can create art that has a deeper message. But there's also validity in it being fun. Like, something that I enjoy, something that resonates with me, something that I want to listen to or play or perform. Like, there's validity in that. But, like, shout out to our boy Frank Ticheli. I love him. I still have been debating getting Angels in the Architecture, that little riff, tattooed somewhere because
every once in a while I just turn her back on and I'm just like, take me there, take me back to when I performed this, and just like, it's such a anyways but
I think one thing I will say about the Super Bowl performance, the only thing I would criticize is that I absolutely wanted Childish Gambino to come out and do This Is America.
I know you did.
And I'm still bitter about it. I'm still upset. I just, like, that was so much, This Is America just, like, would have slotted so well into that. I feel like Childish Gambino as, like, an artist, too, is just, like, such on that same vibe. That I will always be disappointed. Maybe I can create my own mashup at some point, of, like, should have been there. That's my only one. That's my only critique, is that I would have actually liked more anger. Thank you.
And I would have thought that my inkling was, I thought Tyler, the Creator, was going to come out because he had just come out with his album. It was also like football. He has a song that's on there that's very like marching band-esque sounding. So I was like, this would be perfect for the Super Bowl. He's also from LA. He also just released a song that was a cover of, not a cover, but his own freestyle from one of Kendrick's songs on his new album. So I understand. I will say all was forgiven for me once Serena Williams did come out, because I was like, if there was any guest star to bring out, I'm so happy it was her.
So thrilled.
Yes. But I think even going into like, I think extending beyond that, I think This Is America is going to make a comeback. I've started seeing it come back up on like social media and things like that when talking about our government and our administration right now. I've seen it like on TikTok. I've seen it come up on Instagram, and we've had like conversations about it. And I remember how jaw-dropping that music video was, right? Like the music video alone was wild, but even hearing the song first and then watching the music video was like, oh my God, so much was said in this. And that's another person who took something that people were just saying, like, you can go out and sing This Is America, don't catch you slipping up, like, just have that part, and nobody, like, it's catchy, it's good, it's gonna get you going, but there's a deeper message in it, right? And that's what's so powerful about that piece, because it did become popular. I can't remember, but it was an insane amount of views that music video got in the first day, within hours, because of everything that it was showing in there. It was talking about using your phone as a tool against the police. It was talking about the shootings that happened at the church. It was so much that was in that music video alone. And it's not a super complicated song either, I would say. Like, although Childish Gambino and Kendrick, I would say definitely Kendrick more so, have this ability to like be true lyricists. Oh, thank you. It has 948 million views. This Is America has 948 million views on YouTube right now, which is wild. But these are two people who can take lyrics and turn them into these like beautiful metaphors and scenes and storytelling, and can bring you like into a place. And even though other people who aren't Black watched that music video and were able to understand exactly what they were referring to.
Well, and I think, just to compare them to someone I think like would resonate with anyone is Shakespeare, right? Like that was both built for the masses, but carries over so long term. We still study it at his works, and it has so many deeper meanings. It has so much social commentary, but was also, has these stories that are timeless, that, you can carry over, that can be understood at the most simplistic level. And I think that's something that they do so well. And so when people are like, oh, they aren't talented or it's so bad, like the fact that their lyrics are so catchy, that there's, these choruses that like you can pick up, you can sing, everyone would recognize it, but then it has so much depth to it. Like that's how you spread messages, right? Like if everything reads like, a 40-page novel, then like 400-page novel, it's not like, who's gonna pick that up and who's gonna like spread that, versus these very bite-sized, easy to hum, easy to pull out kind of messages. And I think that they do that incredibly, incredibly well. And I think that comparing to Shakespeare, this is something we are going to look back on and analyze. Just like you said, we already are doing it, but I think like 100 years from now, people are going to look back and be like, this was brilliant. The way that we are with people previously. Like you brought up some classical musicians, and one of my favorite composers is Magdalena Castellana, who is the first female composer, first published female composer. She's self-published. And at the time, everyone was like, well, she's not that good, like, because she didn't have like the classical music training that the men received at the time. And also we're speaking in the binary, because at the time it was a very binary culture. And so she didn't get to receive the same education. And so they were like, oh, she's not as good. Like, no, she just didn't have the same training. And now people are re-recording her music and they're saying, wow, she was so far ahead of her time. Like, so far ahead of her time. She had all of these original thoughts because she didn't go through music school and have them destroyed. She had this like originality, all of these things. And then on top of it, she was also the coolest person. Her book dedication is wild. Have I talked to you about this? Okay, this is my spiel. This is my thing. This is like my deep cut niche thing. Her book dedication was not only to another woman, it was to her, to the Duchess, a Duchess, to her efficacy, the Duchess. Yeah. And it said, I want to show as much as I can in this profession of music the vain error of men that they alone possess the gifts of intellect and artistry, and that such gifts are never bestowed upon women. And this was in 1568. She was just insane. I literally have part of that tattooed on me because she is just like the coolest person. And so again, like, I think these are the people that you look back and you go, wow, like they did something. Like they had things to say. They did not let, you know, these ideas or these opinions about them stand in the way of like them producing great art. And it's so sad that we don't recognize it in the moment. Like, there's going to be so many people sitting here saying like, this wasn't very good, blah, blah, blah. And 100 years from now, everyone is going to be like, this was incredible.
This was amazing. I cannot wait. I'm telling you, Nora, there's a part of me, my very petty side wants me to take like screenshots and like save people's like old like tweets or comments or anything like that of them talking about this halftime show. And then when this halftime show gets an award in the future, and if I see that same exact person commenting like, oh, so thankful to have been part of this moment, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be upset, and I'm going to remind you why I was upset. I understand people can change. I just want that moment, okay? I don't want to be told, like, Alma, people need another chance. I understand. I do agree that, but I want this
But you
moment.
also have to recognize, like, you have to admit to it being like, you can't just be like, oh my God, I loved it from the start, and, like...
Please don't.
No, we have receipts. Stop.
Stop. Don't act like you were here with us.
No. Come on.
Not like
Oh
us.
my God.
So.
Dead. Okay. You nailed it.
Thank
Done.
you.
We don't even need an ending to this one. You just killed it.
That's it. All right. Go home, everybody. No. But yeah. No, this went by so fast. And I know that we're going to have so many more conversations about like this. We just started with just this halftime show and we like kind of broke off into This Is America, but you can kind of get a glimpse of like, I'm getting glimpses of what this is about to be with us. And it makes me so excited because there's just so much out there.
I know. I wanted to get into the Governor's Ball, but we don't have time. But like the Governor's Ball and one more day, like, oh my God. Like,
I saw that yesterday and I was like, can we please just like, if we are a small mini podcast, but if one of y'all can just come on here and just let us know what that was like to be in that space and to perform that song. Like, I don't think people understand the history of that song and the significance of that song. And yeah, I'm about to...
Also, sorry, I think I got the words in the wrong
One day
order
more.
there.
Yeah, one day more.
One day more. Sorry. No, I know my musical theater performed that one many a time. I know that music. Sorry, my bad. I just got too excited. But like the mashup component, the fact too, oh my God, I saw the best clip too, because in Broadway Backwards a few years ago, they did that piece.
Yes.
But with the trans...
Yes, they had the trans flag.
They had trans flag, pride flag, and it was all about the trans community. And so just like all of the parallels between, you know, how this has been used in so many ways previously, like it just is like, oh, it was such a beautiful, beautiful moment. Like, yes. Chef's kiss, perfect. Whoever arranged that, like can I please meet you? Can I have an autograph? Like, it was...
Anything.
Chef's kiss. Like, this was insane. Yeah, I would love to have one of them come and talk to us because...
Yes.
Wow. That was one of the most powerful performances I've seen in a while, besides Kendrick's. Like, I was just like, this is... And there is something so beautiful in the simplicity of it, too. Like, the fact that this was, you know, a protest moment.
Yes.
But, like... I don't, it's just like, the simplicity of it, because it's one thing when you're on a national stage, when
Correct.
you have all of this, all this access to, props and sets and design and everything. But there was just something so beautiful about the simplicity of walking through the people in power, and let's just say mostly white men, singing this song. And like, there are definitely people in this ensemble that are queer, that are BIPOC, that are, insert here. And they got to stand in the face of power and like send a very clear message. And it was just so beautiful.
Is like the core of that musical. Like that musical is literally people standing in front of mics and just singing, right? Like there's not a whole bunch of moving around and singing around and choreography. Like it is very much, you are going to listen to these lyrics as like and that song in particular, it's person over here singing, person over here singing, person over here singing. Like they're different songs and then them all coming in. So like even how they performed it in that space had such huge similarities to like how it is performed on stage without all the props and stuff, right? It's still like that song is what my old choir teacher would call the hot damn piece, right? The one that closes the first act. The one that closes the first act and is sending you on before you go take a break, wipe your eyes, like fix your makeup and all of that before you come back and sit down for the rest of whatever this show is about to take you through, which if you haven't watched Les Mis, like watch it. But watch the show first and then watch the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I that was such a perfect piece to have been saying.
It was literally chilling. Like it was everything that I think as musicians go into music for. Yes. Like that was the moment. And it was incredible. Like I can't even imagine how rewarding and fulfilling it must have been to be a part of that ensemble, because that was gut-wrenching, chilling, incredible, like insane. And like that is why we make music, and that is one of those pieces that again is going to like, we're gonna look back and be like, wow, like they said something, like they and at great personal risk probably. Like I'm sure the arranger, I'm sure that the music director, I'm sure that people will come after them, and at great personal risk they chose to say the thing that we all needed them to say. And like that alone is so indicative of great musicianship, great artistry, great leadership, and just like great humanity. And that's right, like to wrap it all back around, like that's the point. That's why we're here. Literally. Is like the humanity of it, the fact that it shows our humanity when we create art, when we share art. And this was like one of those moments that just like, I think to me, humanized the military too. Like I have friends that are in these different military ensembles, but like this felt so humanizing to like who the military is, who, is in our government, like all of these different pieces, right? Like these are people, and people can still make the right choice when put in these situations. And I think it's especially a stark in these situations
that you're supposed to be so like for one thing, right? I think that's the misconception, right? Like of like you're supposed to be ride or die America, like with that, and them coming into that space and doing that was exactly what you said. It's them showcasing their humanness and how they are being personally impacted, as well as the people who are supposed to literally protect us and be very about this country, coming in there and singing aloud this protest song. And
I think it really was such a juxtaposition to the people sitting in that room that have fallen in line, because like again, this is great personal risk for them. It definitely could go wrong. They could face threats, et cetera, et cetera. And especially being in the military, like you said, like that is an expectation, is that you do not say anything, you do not have your own opinion on politics. And like the fact that they did not fall in line, that they did this anyway, I think is like a true testament to, again, the humanity of it, that you can step outside those bounds, and that, you know, just because something is legal, just because something is like an order, like everything that happened during the Holocaust, everything that happened that's going on in Israel, like to individual groups, it's always the right thing. It's always within the law. It's within the bounds. It's whatever. That doesn't make it morally correct. And I think, yeah, that idea of like falling in line, and the fact that they didn't, and that they chose to do this anyway, I think it really showcases that it is a choice, and that there is this option to do the right thing. It is the harder thing, but if it's the right thing, you can still choose that path, and that people are actively not choosing it. And I think that was just like so on a national stage, and like it was so brilliantly done, and it was so simple, and like without saying anything, they said so much.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so much that we have to talk about. And
luckily, we have so many more episodes.
Yeah, that's why we got a podcast. You're right.
That's why we have a podcast.
I can't wait to talk about more stuff, but I think that this is a great way to start off what we're doing now with the preservation project of something that is so real in time with the halftime show, and having that as a touch point for this, because I think when we think of preserving the art, it's so much about thinking about art that's been made in the past or for like a certain type of audience. And it's like, no, art is literally happening around us right now, like right now as we're speaking, and is going to be something that deserves to be preserved because of how big it is, because of how diverse it is, because of the different experiences and introspections that come with it, and because of the debates like this, right? The interpretations that come with this, and people's different perspectives about it. That's why it's so powerful, and why it's incorporated alongside of people who are part of these like movements and part of historical moments. And y'all, I'm just very excited. I'm just very excited to geek out with my friends, and to geek out with people on here who are experts about their certain areas, and just being able to learn, because we are also learning. And I think that's also going to be the fun part about talking with you, Nora, and then talking with the people who are going to be following this, is kind of hearing what they're learning on this journey with us.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. So yeah, submit your art to us for the archive project. Make more art, make awesome art, make terrible art, make art that lives on, and showcases yourself in your community, and, you know, make it harder for us to be erased. Do something every day that makes it just a little bit harder for them to say that we weren't here.